Hi team, so this is back for a little bit more Three Kingdoms. I've changed up my army a fair bit. Ditched out the crossbows, ditched out the strategist entirely. I've gone for a vanguard here. I was told by Grimmhead, my friend that I did most of these fights with, that this army was pretty maximum levels of spice, and he was certain that it would defeat me. This map was a little bit unfair, and I deployed on the left here in order to move down and face him on more equal footing. But Grimmhead's whole strategy sort of relied on deploying right in my face, so me deploying off center like this really did benefit me actually. He charges up, he's charging uphill, and with all of my archers sort of raining down on him. My archers actually don't do as much damage as I sort of expected them to do, but yeah, you can see they're sort of really taking those arrows quite well. I was immediately noticing the difference between crossbows and archers here, and you know, had I gotten this many crossbow bolts into a charging army, I think I would have done a heck of a lot more damage. But a main benefit I've got here is I've got my 3 generals, whereas he couldn't vanguard deploy his entire force. So all of his, 2 of his generals are down there. Now right, I need to watch this. How did I kill He-Man so quickly? So this is my vanguard attacking him, but you can see he's already almost dead, and they've only been fighting for a few seconds. The rest of the front, I'm just overwhelming him really. Even though these swordsmen are quite skilled, I've got the downhill advantage and I've got the numbers. So right, so that's him. I know I'm on horseback, but
the enemy run!
you know, it's crazy just how much damage I did, and that's him dead there. So no, we were both really surprised by that. We thought, you know, what the heck happened? So I'm gonna, I believe at this point I charged my vanguard in just to start disrupting his archers. Nope, no, I guess I wanted to break this line. So with it broken, I just started charging downhill, and my generals just doing what they can. This was a change I made later on. Right now this general is only the lowest level, I believe, a warlord of his commander. So he doesn't have access to the arrow block skill, which really would have benefited me, because I didn't realise until after the battle, but these are all archery masters, and that's why they're absolutely picking me apart, whereas my archers are doing very little. But they're a unit only accessible to the Yellow Turban armies, or the Yellow Turban generals. With my commander here just stuck in, I know that I outnumber his commanders now, and neither of these commanders are perfect fighters, so I felt pretty free to use my commanders at will, and no, I was pretty comfortable with how this fight was going to go. But we can see just the amount of damage that his archery masters did to me. Even with my many of my troops being these heavy spear infantry with really quite nice shields, it wasn't enough to hold back the archery fire. So I lose micro on a few units, and he's able to sort of keep running from me there. But this was a real benefit for keeping my generals on horseback. I could just keep disturbing them, keep them on the move, and but I think he's either got these men on guard mode because they're not really engaging; they just keep on firing, which is definitely the better way to land a lot more kills.
You will fall.
Yeah, so I just decided to engage his commander in a duel there, just to try that system out. We hadn't really done too many duels so far, so the healer is routing, and I've got this pretty comfortably. But with the hill advantage there, and also me deploying off center, I was always going to do pretty comfortably here. I would have liked to have seen what would have happened with this army on even footing, and with me spawning right in the face of him. So that was the first battle that we did last night. and then there's just 2 more, so jump into this one. So we zoomed on over to Taiwan for the next 2 fights. I've been getting these, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but I've been getting these unusual little graphical glitches on these 2 parts of the screen. I'm going to have a look at that. But I didn't change my army at all. I was just really happy with how it performed, and I wanted to see how it would... Actually, this is a very similar army to what he did last time, but he's just not he's not Vanguard deployed. Something we did think about when we saw this map was, and we might do it at some point, but I love the idea of just charging up this beach against you know, some force trying to hold it. It's just a really cool little map. And yeah, much more even footing. There is a hill, but we both deploy on either side of it. Now, of course, if I was taking this pretty seriously, I would have deployed along here. I would have made sure that my army sort of hugged the high ground, so that you know, he could do the same on his side, but then we'd definitely both be even. Because if he deployed here and I deployed down here, suddenly it becomes a much less even fight. So I see these archery masters again. And I know that I saw them in the last fight, I know that my Yi archers are not going to be able to compete with that. They outrange me. They've got 225 range, I believe. Yes, 225, whereas my archers just don't have 25. So I found out these blue marks were actually, that's He-Man's special ability. I thought that was a special thing from the archers that they were using. So I don't even try to engage in a full-length skirmish battle here. I get my archers into place and I start moving up my infantry. Probably not in the most organised. Oh yes, I think I wanted to focus on one section of his force here. So that's why I didn't charge everything in at once. And also, I wanted to see just how well these spear guard could actually hold out against archer fire. What they would have really benefited from is, of course, if I'd gotten my general up there and used his arrow block ability. And you see, even with the best, well, what I believe are the best shields in the game, they still get lowered down to half pretty quick. He charges out his swordsman to counter me, which is a pretty skilled swordsman up against, well, really quite skilled spearmen. The swordsmen are going to be winning that. But I rush my general on in there, just since he's only got swordsmen, I saw no real benefit to dismounting my generals, which keeps them mobile and keeps them being able to use these sort of charge attacks to just break up the enemy forces. I used the morale break ability there, which I think I mistimed that. I used it a bit too early. I don't think you're able to see that again. No, but it lowers their morale by I think about 15 or something like that, which that would have been much better to have used, say, now or at a point where the enemies are already wavering. My champion, what do I do with him? I think I'm wanting to come on behind this force. I know his archers are the ones doing the major damage here, but I didn't feel any purpose in just, there's so many of them. And even what he could have maybe done here is spaced his archers out a bit more, just so that I couldn't disrupt them as easily. Even though my archers have been picked apart, I do still have some full units firing off into these halberdiers.
How many have you killed? Not enough, I think. Is that your best?
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about the effectiveness of archers. You can see, you know, how long they've been firing to these guys, but they are just, and they're Yi marksmen. They're certainly not core quality. So I don't know. Maybe I just need to get a bit more experience with the game. I think maybe archers are something that seem terribly powerful in the early game, but as you start to get a grasp of it, they become a lot more manageable. So my army here has been absolutely ripped apart by his archers, but no matter how good they are, it's tough to defeat generals with archers. So this commander and this vanguard are still remaining. And then he puts in his commander and his scholar to try and sort it out. But once again, my vanguard, Machao, was able to kill him so quickly. So I dismounted him here. I'm unsure why. I think probably his commander had a longer weapon, and I just didn't want to receive the debuff. Yep, got him sitting around doing nothing right now. Really should have him jumped into that fight, because this commander is not going to beat He-Man by himself, especially not with this new infantry force throwing itself in. On this side, I've kind of got the shield from these swordsmen that's stopping the archers from hitting me, so he's having to. I think there probably, yes, there was an infantry unit here, but it's been absolutely ripped apart. An issue with not having a strategist, of course, is you can't get your boys into spaced formation, which, when neither of us can do it, it's not too bad, but I can see the benefit to having strategists, but I'm going to try to keep working with this this vanguard strategy, because it's worked out pretty well for me in the recent battles. I like having 3 generals that I know can be thrown into combat.
The enemy general falls. Ha!
Yep. So he comes on in. Yeah, that's me chasing away his last general. But now I've really got very little left apart from these 3 generals.
Look, the enemy
And he's still got a lot of archers left, some with ammunition. But I think he's wanting to destroy all of my infantry right now, just so that I can, just so that then he can focus on my generals without worrying about me slamming an infantry block into him. I chased them away, perhaps for a bit too long. And this is where this commander gets surrounded by a lot of archery masters. Now you can see archery masters in comparison to other units. They're certainly, certainly not elite, but they can fight a lot better than normal archers can anyway. And this commander by himself is having some difficulty. So it takes me a little bit too long to realise that, but I start rushing the commander in, my champion in, sorry, because he will die if he's left on his own. And I also pulled them back because I know he's not going to be able to chase them down by himself. Perhaps it would have been good to have run them back to their horses, one of which was just there, but yeah. So I know that I clicked load replay there, and you didn't get to see I didn't get to see the ending screen. So my mercenary axemen, they were just torn apart really by archer fire, and they weren't able to really go toe to toe with these more elite swordsmen. My archers handled things as well as could be expected, but the real killing power with this came from my vanguard, my champion, and a few of the spearmen, who managed to get to the enemy lines without suffering too many casualties. But his kills from these archery masters were absolutely colossal. I think he's really cheaped out on his generals. That's why I'm able to kill them so quickly. I've level 3'd both my vanguard and my champion, because I think they really benefit from it. Apart from that, yeah, his infantry were more just hold mine back. Some of them handled themselves relatively well. Probably gutting my mercenary axemen. But as I say, killing power is the archery masters, and he sort of fell in love with archery masters from these last 2 battles. So we'll hop into the last one here. And yep, my army, I decided I needed more elite troops on the field. So I got rid of 2 of my spearmen there, and got another Protector of Heaven. Along with that, I also leveled up my commander to be level 2. Now, the first thing I noticed here was I vastly outnumber him, and then I saw his force, and I saw why. So he's decided to give trebuchets a try out in the open field, which, although they're exceptional in a siege battle that we've been trying out, I wasn't sure how they'd turn out here. So the first thing we noticed about this map was just the sheer size of that tree. That's pretty exceptional. But I wanted to deploy off-center a bit, well, I think no, we decided because I deployed on this hill that it was better for us to just move on to this little area over here. And with the trebuchets, I knew I couldn't just sit back. But trebuchets don't have an absolutely colossal range in this. So what I did immediately was I started running. And I really should have just checked the range and realized I didn't actually need to run until I passed this line. I try out something with this Vanguard here. And I move him up, and I wanted to just try to make it so that he actually passed the trebuchet line at, just before the rest of my men, so that he would take this first volley. And he'd be able to, well, he's a much smaller target than my infantry are there. Even though I've seen trebuchets one-hit kill generals, so I was pretty worried about that, because my strategy is very general focused. But he makes it out okay, and I'm just trying to move these guys over onto the flank. And I didn't actually notice until after the battle just how many people I was losing to this trebuchet fire. I mean, look, that's a lot of guys taken out. Yeah. I'm almost getting into his archery range too, and that is where people will really start to disintegrate. I knew, however, if I did manage to get up there with any forces intact, I'd be able to beat him. So my archers, I get them up first, just to absorb enemy arrow fire and start throwing out when they can, with then everything else following up behind it. Now this is where I really don't make use. Since I've leveled him up to level 2, now he gets his arrow block skill. And I should have activated. I should have moved him there right now and activated it, and that would have just allowed me to get so much closer with a much better army intact. Why I decided to move him over here? I think I just wanted to charge him and disrupt him. I'm not using him as a commander. I'm using him as a champion, which is foolish of me. So you can see, yep, this is one unit. Actually, that's 2 units of spear guard. Heavy spear guard that are just getting eviscerated by archers. So I run in, and my 2 champions, well, my champion and my vanguard here, up against a strategist and a scholar, along with a few of these veterans. I was pretty comfortable that I was going to tear them apart up there. And what am I doing with my eye? So I've just activated it there, which is far too little, too late. And yeah, with all of my generals in this confined space, I was pretty comfortable with how this was going to go. He shifts his trebuchets around. Yeah, I'm trying to pull off a bit of a flank. What I will usually do is I'll pick a part of the enemy's army and focus a lot more of my tension on it, which sometimes leads to me just blobbing people up like this and not using them as quickly as I should. I saw them sort of flanking around me, and I just wanted to focus fire on my archers, because they were either going to go for my archers or they're going to try and slam into the back of my force. My mercenary axemen here, I want them to, I think I was going to use them just to try and scare away the enemy archers, because with the amount of fire I had taken, I was really going to struggle against this. Managing to chase away his healer, but my vanguard was pretty badly hurt. Yep, so this is a different champion than I've been using before, but I think I quite like him. I'm not sure who I prefer right now. My champion my commander is just running around disrupting this, and now you see, I didn't realise how much damage he was still doing with those trebuchets. Had I noticed, I wouldn't have been hitting his archers, I've been hitting his boys, but that's the amount of ammunition anyway, so it's probably for the best. He's still got He-Man, and he's still got this strategist who is in the fight. I believe the strategist has locked morale, so he isn't going to be going anywhere. He'll be fighting to the death.
The enemy warriors are running. Ha! The enemy general falls.
Everything's defeated here. I should have just moved my my infantry up a bit faster. Should have noticed that, but because he's managed to fully form this archer line again, and I'm gonna have to charge him. But I've got my commander stuck in here, just trying to deal some damage. And what's the scariest thing is they're not even halfway through all of their ammunition. So I tried to catch him in that sphere, but he was just outside of it when I activated that arrow block skill. Smash through that formation, and once again I'm reduced to sort of really 2 generals there. I get these heavy spears, just want to charge them in there. Mercenary Axemen are not going to beat those guys, and they start routing mainly because of the amount of firepower they're taking. And I'm just hoping that these Protectors of Heaven don't get focused down. Yep, they've not been noticed yet. They're still focusing on these on the people that I really want them to, the guys with the shields, and they make it there, so that's good. But as I say, my generals are the ones doing this for me. I think these archery masters are extreme, but they do cost about 1,000 apiece. So, you know, each one of those could be a Protector of Heaven, so, or it could be a substantial upgrade to your general. Very close range archery fire, but yeah, I'm pretty comfortable that I've got this one. Just start breaking them, and I don't think there's anything left. So those are all the battles that I was able to sort out last night, but you can see each one of those trebuchets got over 100 kills. And I actually don't know how much a trebuchet is costing you in a battle, but you know, I'm not sure if that was worth it. I think when it comes to artillery in most Total War games, it more just, it gives you control and it makes the enemy charge you. I had less men remaining than he did at the end of it, and you know, so it makes you charge toward him, makes you sort of lose composure. In my last Third Age battle that I uploaded yesterday, that clearly happened to me when the enemy's trebuchet was raining down on me. I started making mistakes because I was panicking. I was constantly losing men to trebuchet fire, and I think that's really the purpose of artillery. If not in this game, and it's the purpose of it in a lot of Total War games. And yep, again, the archery masters were incredibly effective. So you can see they cost about 1,000, and my Protectors of Heaven cost around 1,000, and you can see sort of the difference in kills from them. I know it's because that's what his army is based around, and had I brought a very heavy cav focus, maybe this would have been different. But I've got my issues with cavalry, so. No, right. So that's all there is for now. Thank you very much.